And welcome back to the Surrey Hill Smokers. Yes, we have had a little bit of a break. We've been non-stop cooking through the lockdown, and quite frankly, I'm burnt out from it. Oh, that's a really bad joke to start off the video for not doing one for a few months.
Yeah.
Okay, right, so today we're going to do a very simple one. We're aware that not everybody's like us and has a shack to cook in, and they only barbecue, and the weather's getting better now. So what we're going to do today is we're going to go over a video of some basics of, cleaning that barbecue up and what you need to do, some tools and useful things that can get you into that barbecue season this year. So, unlike us who use our barbecues pretty much every weekend or thereabouts, ours are pretty clean, so they're actually kind of a bit of a bad example. But for those of you who have maybe left your barbecue since last summer, I bet you're going to open the lid and it will be covered in mould. Do not despair, it is not ruined. First of all, you need to not be scared about giving it a really good clean, and I know about cleaning because Gavin's seen my cars. They are immaculate. I'm a bit OCD when it comes to cars.
Shiny.
Yeah, so my barbecues can be the same. Even the offset smokers, you do need to clean those as well, but we can cover that in a separate video. For standard barbecues, do not be afraid to use any of these type of products. Try and keep away from anything that's acid-based or nasty like that, but typical kitchen cleaners like this Sif one or the Sillet Bang, the degreaser one's really good for those really stubborn, greasy, nasty things. And don't be scared to get that out there on the drive or wherever with the hose. Give them a really good scrub with the Scotch Brite pad, the green scrubby pads, or the Brillo pad, metal wire wool type things. Give those things a great, everything a really good thing, wash and give them a hose down. Just get it all washed off and make sure you wash all the products off. It won't kill you. You just need to make sure that grill's clean. So Gavin, you've got Weber barbecues and they tend to get a bit mouldy when they're left over winter, don't they? Yeah.
They can have a tendency. This is the thing. When you've not used it that often, as you say, you can get that white mould. As Nick says, don't worry about that. That's an easy thing to clean off. Literally, as you say, you can use these sort of products, even if you want to. You could use the metals, the wire brush.
Yeah.
Or tin foil, crumple it up into a ball. Just give it a damn good scrub with those sort of things, then afterwards, just burn it off with the actual, charcoal and heat. And then afterwards, a little bit of oil on there if you want to, just to finish it off, and away you go.
Yeah, as Gavin says, don't be afraid to use your household kitchen cleaning things. Try and keep away from things with bleach in it, obviously for common sense reasons, but don't be afraid to use these to degrease and get that grill and that barbecue looking spick and span. As Gavin said, once you've rinsed it off and given it a really good hose down and you've got clear water running on it, you could dry it off and just leave it in the sun, or if you really, really want to, get some coals, fire them up, just chuck them in there and shut the lid down and let it burn up, and away you go. So, basic tools. For those of you that aren't seasoned barbecuers, or you are just jumping into this foray of barbecue world, which it's a slippery slope, because you end up with a room full of barbecues and smokers and all sorts, and spending an inordinate amount of money that you have to hide from your wife.
Yeah.
It's all free, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But no, jokes aside, you don't need to spend an absolute fortune to get some fantastic results on barbecue. I'll put a link up here to our very first video, which was barbecue basics on how to cook some burgers on the offset method, which Gavin and I did over a year ago now, since Surrey Hill Smokers started. That's a really useful video, just to give you some cooking basics. But you need a basic toolkit. So this, believe it or not, I use every time I barbecue or we do any smoking or anything like that, and it was from Asda's. It's nothing fancy. It's not a smashing, fancy brand. It was less than a tenner. £10 that is for our American and non-UK viewers. So it wasn't expensive and it does the job admirably. So I would suggest it's got a spatula, it's got some tongs, it's got some fork type objects in there. Absolutely perfect for those quick things. You can stick them in the dishwasher as well. They're plastic handles so they don't transfer the heat. Happy days. The next thing is, if you're going to be doing kebabs, homemade kebabs, have a crack at it. It's so easy to do. But when you get your skewers, don't worry about the bamboo ones because they are quite pointless and they burn up and they're a pain in the arse. Get yourself off Amazon some stainless steel or steel skewers, probably stainless steel because it's safer, but get the flat ones, and we'll do a close-up of those because the round ones, when you put the meat on, when it cooks, it shrinks and it rotates round and you end up turning it and the skewer turns and the meat doesn't go anywhere. So having a flat one, the fatter the better, because obviously it holds that meat nice and the vegetables on there nice and flat. Another one you might also want to do is a silicone basting brush. Very, very cheap, very effective to put those barbecue sauces on, any marinades, anything like that whilst you're cooking, and get those things in there. So Gav, you wanted to talk about some other tools as well, don't you?
Yeah, I mean, for one thing, the first thing for me, chimney starters.
Absolutely.
I mean, this thing is a godsend. It will get your charcoal going within 15 to 20 minutes with no issues whatsoever.
Using the applewood charcoal from BigK, I mean, I do steaks regularly on, as you've probably seen from our Instagram page. I love a good barbecued steak because it's the only way to cook steak in my view. I can get applewood charcoal burnt up and ready into the grill in less than 10 minutes most of the time, right?
Yeah, 100%.
And it just makes life so much easier.
Yeah, I mean, just get sort of like a simple little sort of a Woody's fire lighter from BigK, pop it in the base there with your chimney full of charcoal. Oh, literally 15-20 minutes.
You're done.
Away you go.
Days.
I mean, another little gizmo you might want to get. Little tiny little blowtorch. Saves on having a lighter to hand.
Yeah, and matches and burning lumps of newspaper. You can just literally fire that in the bottom, get the woody going, and away we go. We're going to cover over in the next section. We're going to cover the fuels and the elements to lighting stuff as well. So we'll cover that. But yeah, absolute godsend as well.
100%. But something as simple as salt and pepper. These are little, these are great ones we got from Cole and Mason, but these are literally got adjustments on there, so you can adjust the grind size. If you want something that's just just to season it, then you can, with a fine grain, or you can really chunk it up, so you've got something that's going to sit on the top of that meat, or vegetables as well.
And we get. I mean, I think it's fair to say we get a bit overwhelmed with rubs and spices and all that. Sometimes the most simplest seasoning, olive oil or oil, and then some salt and pepper, and that's all you need on some meats. Sometimes you don't want to disguise the flavour of those meats. I mean, if you're doing a low and slow ribs and stuff like that, yeah, a bit different. But steaks or kebabs, salt and pepper, absolutely. The basics are so good sometimes, right?
100%, especially if you've got a bit of wood in there as well to add that smokiness. That is just going to be all you need. The wood and the salt and pepper, done.
So the next step that you would need as well, and I mix and match. Gavin's very much, as you know, we're very different in our approaches, but both neither right nor wrong. The approach that I sometimes take is do on time, but sometimes it is important to cook by temperature. Now, and that's where a good thermometer will come in. Now, there's such a variety. You've got ThermaPen, you've got ThermoPro, you've got Inkbird, you've got probed. This is a 4-probe thermometer that's got Bluetooth on it. I think yours is 4. Your Inkbird's 4 probe as well. Or you've got a simple single probe. Stick it in, tells you the temperature, and you can tell. And it's vitally important, especially when we're cooking things like chicken or pork, where it needs to be cooked to a right temperature, because you will get people sick if you don't cook it right. Because it's just, it's not dangerous, but it's inherently needs to be cooked properly. Steaks and things like that, you can get away with rare and stuff like that. We will do a separate video on the ThermaPen on the ThermaPen products, because we're actually now affiliated and sponsored by them. So we're going to do a separate video talking you through the product range there. But I would strongly suggest you don't have to spend hundreds of pounds. Get yourself on Amazon. Just buy yourself something that at least you're going to get a regular, good quality temperature reading for doing those things like chicken. Another item that's always useful to hand is have either some like spray oil. This is again from Asda. You can buy it from Sainsbury's. It comes in a thing. Just pump spray in case you need to spray something down. And finally, the best tool of all that I use quite a lot, and I've done cooks, and you'll see curries being cooked in this and fried onions, nice cast iron skillet. This, believe it or not, lives up in the smoke shack, and it's well seasoned, it doesn't rust. Not that it gets wet in here, it does get damp in the winter, but it hasn't rusted because it's well seasoned. Well worth investing on these. This was a simple one from Amazon. It's absolutely brilliant. Get it up to temperature and you can cook all sorts of stuff on the barbecue with it.
Absolutely brilliant. Because there's nothing in there that's going to melt or flake off or cause any issues, you can put this thing at as high a heat as you want.
And it's not going to melt, it's got no plastic handles. You do need to be careful. Obviously, you've seen Will cooking meatballs in it. We did a pasta video. I can put a link to that up here, and you can have a look at that video. Watch Will and my son and myself cooking some pasta in it, which was good fun in the lockdown. But again, also there's a myth, there's a bit of a myth around cleaning cast iron, saying you mustn't wash it. Absolute myth as far as I'm concerned. You can wash cast iron. You've just got to remember to dry it properly. and the seasoning will not be washed off in one go. Yeah, if you scrub at it with a wire wool brush, absolutely, it will wear it down. But the other thing is you've got to remember that oil, once you've seasoned it correctly, it will last a while, and you can always re-season it, and drying it is the key thing. So if you've washed it, make sure it's dry. If you're really worried about it, stick it in the oven for 5-10 minutes at 180 degrees. Just leave it in there to cool naturally, and away you go.
Yep.
So those are the basic tools. I think that you can pick and choose what you want, but they will give you a good start on that barbecue journey. Yes, hello there. Now we're going to talk about fuels. As you can see, there's quite a lot. I think we might need to cut and just do one at a time here, Gav. What do you think? 'Cause
maybe a better
I'm hiding behind the coal, but as you can see, there is a lot of choice when it comes to charcoal. So that's a bit better now. You can see me. Well, maybe it's not. I don't know. Nah, whatever. You're tough if you're watching the channel. Oh, by the way, I forgot to say, if you like our videos, make sure you hit that subscribe button and hit the like button as well, because it helps us with the algorithms in YouTube, and also it allows you to get notified of when we do new videos. Anyway, so we've moved the coal around. So we are obviously brand ambassadors for BigK. We're not paid by them, but we have been big fans of BigK for quite some time, and you know, the opportunity arose that we became brand ambassadors for them, and it's been a fantastic journey. And again, thank you to the guys at BigK for choosing Surrey Hill Smokers to be one of those brand ambassadors. They have a fantastic range of coals. We have our own personal favourites here. You'll hear us talking about the Applewood charcoal, or the BCH 15, which is Gavin's personal favourite, and the ACH 15. You know, these are fantastic lumpwood charcoals, but for the general public, there's nothing wrong with their briquettes. Now, these are the standard pressed charcoal dust briquettes. They work well. They take a little bit longer to fire up, but they are really good if you just want to chuck them into your kettle, get that heat for that offset cook, and away you go. If we go into the foray of real lumpwood charcoal, the first product I would want to talk to you about is the BCH 14. This is fantastic. Now, it's a lumpwood charcoal, but it's a traditional sort of stick formation. It's not lumps, it's actual sticks. It's like little logs. This is really good. It lights really quickly, which is surprising because they're quite dense, but it does burn for an exceptionally long time. Yep. So if you're doing a bigger cook for a family, you know, you've got the family round, when you're not exceeding the rule of 6, of course, because that would be naughty and irresponsible. But if you were doing a bigger cook and you had people round and you wanted to be cooking for a little bit longer than your usual, I cannot recommend highly enough the BCH 14. As I say, it lights really well with the chimney, probably about 10-15 minutes, maybe 20 if you're really stacking it. Not much longer than that to light up. And the heat it gives off is really, really good and intense, and it adds some nice flavour to the food as well.
Well as that, it also looks really good in the chimney as well.
Well, it does. Sticks. Yeah, exactly.
So let's just move this one out of the way.
So Gav, you're going to now talk to us about
Applewood and the ACH 15.
Cool.
So this is the slightly small bags of Applewood charcoal from BigK. Absolutely amazing, 12 kg bags, but the chunks that you get in here are next level. I mean, I've had literally every single one in this bag seems to be coming out pretty much.
Yeah, I've had the same as well. And when I go to cook a steak, the last thing I need is half a tree to do. So I actually end up having to break up the chunks to make them a bit more manageable, because you don't need massive long burns for cooks. Steaks is like 10-15 minutes, you're done, right? But this is a absolute beast for doing steaks and things, quick cooks like that. And the flavour it gives off is just second to none, right?
Oh, it's absolutely
amazing.
Absolutely.
And it lights super quick, as we said when we started the video. 5-10 minutes maximum, I can have a chimney that's going, steaks are cooked, and you're done.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, the next one we're going to move on to, though, is, I have to say, my personal fave.
You've got a bit of a soft spot for this one, if I don't mind saying, haven't you?
I have. This is ACH 15. 15 kg bags, but again, the chunks are huge. Good thing about this is it's amazing for long cooks. I mean, if you want to use this in your smoker, I mean, I use it in my Weber Smoky Mountain in the base. I mean, I've done 12-hour cooks and I've still not even made it halfway through the actual charcoal. It's so dense, it's so hard, and it burns so nice and hot, but for a long period of time. I mean, you can't go far wrong with this.
I use this a lot when I'm running the Oklahoma Joe and doing a low and slow on that, and a lot of the purists will go, oh, you should only be burning sticks and wood in it. I don't. I always burn a bed of coal and put the wood chunks on it because, you know, that's the way it works. And as Gavin says, I can do an 8-hour cook and probably use quarter of a bag of that, and that's phenomenally good value for money, I think.
100%.
So we'll put a link in below to BigK, so you can have a look at their website. We do regularly have codes. We haven't got one at the moment, but if we find we can get one, we'll stick that also in the description down below. So yeah, after just touching, what, 3 bits of charcoal? We're covered in black and look like we've been down a coal mine all of our lives, but that's the fun of working with charcoal. It is a bit dirty, but it's worth it, right?
Oh, yeah, 100%.
So as we say, BigK aren't all about charcoal. They have natural firelighters. Now, we don't want to be using those chemical blocks, you know, even they're alcohol based, whatever, because it does impart some flavour in there, and I just don't think it's natural. No. So BigK have developed these things called woodies, and they're basically wood shavings. They're like strings of wood, but they're held together with a light wax, which is non-toxic. I think it's completely natural. 2 or 3 of these under your chimney, and away you go. You don't have to mess around with scrunching paper up. You don't have to mess around with anything like that. And it's all I genuinely use. They light, and I think each one runs for about 8 or 9 minutes, doesn't it? It's roughly is about the number, depending on weather conditions or wind and things like that. But they are an absolute lifesaver. We buy them in 2K boxes because we just use a lot of them. But they do them in bags sort of this size. So your average barbecuer can buy a small packet and not have to keep. But to be honest, the 2K box is actually really good value. So it's not big money, and I think that it comes in a nice cardboard box that you can keep them stored in. Moving on then, they also do smoking woods and things like that. So these are their hickory chips. These are really good. If you just want to have a quick impart of some smoke, and hickory's quite a strong, pungent smoke, isn't it, Gav? Yeah. So it's nice to just chuck them onto the coals, shut the lid down, let the smoke come out, and give everything a little bit of a smoky flame grill flavour, which is really good. Again, super cost effective. The next section will cover some smoking woods, but if you're not into buying huge lumps of trees and things like that, and you don't have access to that, these are a really good solution, and they also work really, really well on gas barbecues, believe it or not. When we did our ribs on gas, I used the hickory chips in a smoker box, and they actually worked really, really well. I'll put a link up here to that video so you can have a look at that and recap your minds on how we do. Yes, we do use gas barbecues here occasionally at Surrey Hill Smokers.
We're not that snobbish.
We're not snobbish, and they actually do have a place and in the space of barbecue. And we will do an entire series on gas barbecues as well. I have one here, and we'll do a series on cooks on those, just so we can cater for everybody out there. So we talked about the hickory chips. As I say, there's that smoker box. You fill it with chips, you put it onto the grill, and it can do that, or you can chuck them straight into the coals. Obviously, you can't do that on a gas barbecue. It kind of gets a bit flamey and dangerous when you start throwing wood onto a gas barbecue. But that's where the smoker box comes in, because you end up actually creating your own sort of charcoal inside of it in minute form, which is kind of handy. But there you go. So smoking woods. I've got a selection here, and Gavin's got a couple that he's going to talk to you that can be used for smoking and also a heat source, so it's a sort of dual purpose. But for smoking woods, there's a very small selection. There's so much wood out there. So we've got standard beech. That's a really good all-rounder. That works with pretty much anything. It gives a nice mellow smoke. You've got sweet chestnut. I'm very lucky in the fact that my parents have got a large garden with quite a lot of trees in there that they trim regularly, so they're not actually cutting the trees down. These are offshoots off the trees, big branches, etc. that have fallen down. So that's sweet chestnut. We've got hazelnut as well. Gives a lovely nutty flavour. I mean, there's a little bit of crap spoken about woods and flavour imparting. They all do pretty much. So there are nuances to different flavours, and some are stronger than others. So oak is there. And applewood, these are quite large logs. I will split these down before I can use them. I mean, you could use them as a fuel source on their own, but this is actually applewood. It was quite an old tree that actually it fell down, and then the rest of it needed to be cut down. So I've got a good supply of that here. In fact, there's a mountain of it over in the corner. But Gavin, you were going to talk to us about these two woods here, weren't you?
Yeah, I mean, these are great woods as well. I mean, you've also got cherry and stuff like that as well, which unfortunately we haven't got here right now. But we've got some oak here. I mean, oak has got probably a great flavour. I mean, especially with beef. I mean, it imparts a good amount of flavour.
It's strong enough, isn't it? Yeah.
It's not too strong.
No, it's strong enough, yeah.
Yeah, it's strong enough. But as well as that, an amazing heat source. If you wanted to use this in, say, an offset smoker or something like that, it burns high heat and for a decent length of time, but it also imparts that flavour.
They're really good in my pizza oven as well, so logs like that, you get it going, and along with the next wood that Gavin's going to talk, that works really well as a combination. You get that super high heat for doing cooks of bread or whatever you want to do in it.
Yeah, I mean, these ones here are South African brywoods. I mean, you've got quite a few different types, Montbani, camel thorn, as you say. But what these do is they burn intensely high heat. I mean, I use them on my Brywood from Brywood UK. Basically what you do is you burn them and they turn into charcoal, and as your heat source for your actual cooking. But as well as that, if you wanted to chuck them into your pizza oven or your offset smoker for a heat, insane. They burn so high.
Because obviously South Africa is quite a warm place. The wood is, and these come from like Namibia and places like that where it's sustainably and safely farmed. It's not just cut down and caused willy-nilly, but it's incredibly dense because of the temperature there and the heat of the country. So it's unlike anything we have in the UK or Europe. But as I say, Gavin says, you can chuck it in the pizza oven and just use it, and the flame and heat it comes off it. It's just phenomenal. I actually like the flavour of it imparting onto the food as well.
Yeah.
It's a subtle. It's not like oak where it's quite strong. It's actually very subtle, or you wouldn't think it. But it's a very subtle flavour. But it's a very different flavour, and it gives you a very exotic taste to your barbecues when you've done it. We've done braai barbecues at Gavin's house before, and it's been phenomenal. So those are a very small selection now. There are plenty of places online to buy chunks of wood. You can buy them from eBay. You can buy them on Amazon. You can buy them from I've even seen now in our local garden centres, the barbecue sections, Weber and people like that, and BigK, they have oak logs and things like that. But some of them are into the foray where you can buy lumps of hickory, lumps of cherry, applewood, etc., etc. Elder's another one. There's an entire list of woods that you can burn, but you could spend days trying to work out which one you like the best. These ones here pretty much work for us, and I find that they work well. I mean, hickory's good. I just haven't got any at the moment because I've used it all up.
Yep.
So there you go, people. I hope that's given you a rough idea of how you can get back into barbecuing for the summer season. I know Gavin and I cook all year round. It's a little bit different, but we're going to be doing some more videos now. We had to just take a break. As I say, we literally exhausted ourselves. It's hard work doing these videos, but we love doing it for you guys because you all watch it and you like it and you follow and subscribe, and we're deeply thankful for that. We're going to thank the guys at Beacon Hill Butchers as well, because they did look after us really well throughout lockdown. We didn't get the food for free, but they always looked after us. So, we'll be working with them again now that we can cook together again, and we're really looking forward to getting together and doing some stuff together, right, Gav?
Oh, 100%. It seems like an age since the last time we get a chance to do this.
Yeah, it was. I'll have to redesign the logo for the start of the videos now as well, because they're not lockdown specials, because we're not really locked down anymore. Anyway, guys, if you like the video, please make sure you hit that subscribe button and the like button. As I said, it helps us with the algorithms. We are going to be doing lots more content. If you've got any suggestions, please feel free to email us, come onto Instagram or Facebook and direct message us. If you want to see something cooked, give us a shout and we'll see what we can do. But from now, me and Gavin, thanks very much for watching, and we'll see you again soon.